Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this evening's council meeting. Just a reminder for all councillors to make sure you are using your mic, that you have the button switched on the side, and that you do use it every single time. Just an ask that you do go through the chair, myself, every time you want to make a comment. Just makes it easier, especially when we've got members of the public present this evening. We have a full agenda to get through, and we have a speaker. So you're aware that we are recording as per your agenda, and we will firstly move on to the public participation session, which is an opportunity for members of the public to make representations to the Town Council on matters on the agenda or public interest. We have a packed agenda, so I am going to keep it to 2 minutes per person, which hopefully gives you an opportunity to discuss what you want to discuss, and an opportunity for everybody to have their voice this evening, which is important. I'm going to move from my right hand side round to my left. So if you want to just indicate if you do want to speak tonight, and then if you want to come up to the mic with Councillor Simmons, if that's okay, Ruth, just express who you are, and then we'll give you the 2 minutes to have your opportunity. Okay, so any of you that would like to speak this evening? Yourself, Martin? That's absolutely fine. That's fine. Thank you for that. We'll start with yourself, Martin. That's fine.
Good evening. My name's Martin Jones. I'm here. I've got a few points that I'd like to raise with you this evening. Severn Trent estimate dates this is dated the 12th of August 2022, that Mile End improvements to the sewage treatment plant would cater for between 1,500 to 3,000 new homes, 4,000 to 700 people approximately. Recent and planned developments in Oswestry Town alone account for nearly 50% of that capacity. That's without adding in the peripheral developments that also feed into Mile End. Is it not the case that further overdevelopment could lead to a local catastrophe? Because the River Mauder is a brook, not a river. Given the lack of new services and the projected SIL monies, a simple solution for doctors, dentists, would be to build a combined surgery at the new Mile End Business Park. The Town Council could own the facility, but not run it, other than ensure that it is an NHS dentist on site, and receive rent for that property, although it sits within our boundaries. This helps the town and the surrounding parishes that have suffered a loss or lack of access to these services, given that Oswestry alone is going to grow by 20% over the next 2 years. Light pollution from Oswestry is now a major concern for those of us that can see it. The bright white halo over Oswestry at night will be doing immeasurable harm to nighttime animals and insects. You are doing irreparable harm to our children's future, as these insects are the building blocks. And Oswestry says it takes tourism seriously. Well, the Tourist Information Centre is nowhere near the town centre. The rest of it I'll say for next week.
Thank you, Martin. I appreciate that. Moving on to yourselves. Again, if I can just ask you to introduce yourself, I'd be grateful. Thank you. Are you okay? Yeah, don't trip.
Hi, Jackie Saunders. I live in Cabin Lane, and I'm very concerned about the amount of cars parked at the one-stop roundabout, where if you're travelling into Oswestry, you've got to overtake the parked cars, which can be 4, 5, 6, worse at school times, and then cars coming around the roundabout, coming down Cabin Lane, doing 30, 40, 50 miles an hour. There's going to be an accident, there's going to be a collision, because you have to pull right out to the other side of the road to go up the road, and then you've got cars facing you, and then there's altercations because people get cross because you're on their side of the road. There's been numerous consultations, talks, committees about the one-stop is a dangerous crossing, and it's getting 10 times worse now because of the cars parked. They're too lazy to go into the one-stop car park, so it's not a question, there isn't anywhere to park, they just can't be bothered. but I don't know how many more consultations, how much more money's got to be spent deciding what should be done when absolutely nothing is done. It's about time something was done before there is a major crash there or a child is killed, as was on Unicorn Road, or a child hurt on Unicorn Road. And you moved fairly quickly then, but it is getting beyond a joke. Thank you.
Thanks, Jackie. Is that lady, are you wanting to talk? You good? Okay, thanks, Les. Of course you can. Yeah, just introduce yourself, Les, thank you.
Hi, you're right. I just wanted to speak about the car parking charges that are currently set to be put in place. I'm a little bit concerned, and so are many residents. A lot of residents have come to me and asked for me to come tonight and speak on their behalf. They're concerned with the increase in car parking that it will, and the implications it will have to the shops in town, in the town centre. We already see a lot of shops closing, and a lot of empty shops, not just the ones that are closing. There are a lot of empty shops. But the biggest problem we seem to have is the issues that are coming to me is the night time. The fact that they're going to be charged for using the car park at night time. Now, if my memory serves me correct, I think originally the car park was made free for night time to give residents the chance to be able to park outside their own house for a start. But also because, I mean, you're talking years ago now, so there's more cars on the road now than there was back then. But even back then, it was making it very difficult for emergency services to be able to get their vehicles through the traffic or the parked cars on very narrow roads. Now there's more cars, this could be made a lot worse. And if I would hate to think that any councillor in here would have that on their conscience if the roads, people weren't parking on the car park now because they couldn't afford to or didn't want to pay, so they were using side streets to park on instead. So I'd just like you all to just consider all that when it comes to talking about it later on the agenda, because it could have an implication. But also, at the same time as you are looking at putting these charges in place, how is this going to be implemented? Are you going to have to spend more money on ANPR cameras, or are you going to have to pay a car parking warden to monitor it at night time and take on an extra responsibility to do so? And how would that cost be covered? I won't say any more because I know there's more that want to talk.
Thanks, Les. Hello there. Brilliant. Okay. Yeah, of course you can, Paul.
Thank you for the chance to speak, everybody. My name is Paul Newman. I'm Acting Community Manager of Oswestry Memorial Hall. I'm here to speak briefly on behalf of user groups and community groups that use the hall and other community venues in the town. One of those groups is represented by Val and Kieran here, and I'll leave a little bit of time if they want to add anything to what I've said. Oswestry Memorial Hall is in its 120th year, and it's once again a vibrant and valued community hub. In particular, early evenings at the hall are very popular, and the range of activities taking place between the hours of 6 p.m. and 9 p.m, Monday to Friday, are varied. There's a long list of clubs that I could call out now: youth groups, singing groups, drama groups, support groups for bereavement, mums with toddlers, and all sorts of others. I'll leave that list for another day. Several of these groups have come forward in recent weeks, concerned at the proposed triple whammy of car park price increases in the evening. Whilst the general increase is to be anticipated by those groups occasionally, the combined effect of extending the daytime rates to 8 p.m, plus an overnight rate, will harm attendance at many of these community activities. Like other community hubs in the town centre, these evening groups are offered at affordable rates by providers such as Val and Kieran here, to be as inclusive and accessible as possible. Our groups are keen to understand the reason for the price increase, especially in light of the significant increase in town centre car parking revenues published this week, £90,000 more in the recent year than in the prior year. We ask if the council has fully understood the use of evening parking by participants of community groups and services when making its pricing decision, and has there been sufficient community engagement to consider the impact should some of these groups become non-viable as a result of the increased charges? If the answer to either of these questions is no, then will the council consider a short deferment, for example 3 months, so that such matters can be properly assessed and enable an informed decision on appropriate parking methods and charges? The The Town Council has a track record of supporting community groups and ventures. However, providing a small number of grants to charitable causes, worthy charitable causes, seems short-sighted if at the same time the Council implements changes and charges that strangle many more existing, small but valuable community groups and clubs. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Yeah, of course. If I can just ask you to introduce yourself, I'd be grateful.
Yeah,
Thank
make it
you.
short. I'm Kieran Laundy. As Paul's expressed very eloquently, the situation, especially with our members, we run the spiritual centre in Oswestry. It has been running for exceedingly 25 years, but we officially have been running it for the last 10, 12 years. We've talked to our members. A lot of our members of the older generation, they have said that they come to our centre because of the parking facilities. They feel safe, it's lighted, and they feel protected. But if the charges are such, they feel that it is beyond what they can afford. Bearing in mind, we have to pay the Memorial Hall, yeah, our charges. So I fully sort of appreciate what Paul said, and I just wanted to explain where we stand. But if it does go ahead, we know we will have to shut. And it's a shame after 25 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Kieran. Thank you. Adele, thank you. If I can just ask you to keep to the 2 minutes, I'd be grateful. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Adele Nightingale. I am the Oswestry Bid Manager. In response to Oswestry Town Council's increase to car park charging hours from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. to 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and an introduction to an overnight charge, the bid has today requested information regarding the decision's justification. We believe that the town's nighttime economy businesses, already a struggling sector, will be hit by this decision. At a pub watch meeting yesterday morning, where 10 hospitality venues were represented, there was an overwhelming reaction to the new overnight charges and genuine concern that this will impact on their businesses. It is clear from the latest car parking data, April to December, that use of our car parks has grown considerably year on year, given an increased revenue for that period of around £90,000, which makes us question the motivation for this increase. We also understand that there is a belief that introducing nighttime parking charges will impact on potential planning applications. However, our understanding is that this is not the case and that parking charges are not taken into material consideration in the determination of planning applications. In considering all of this, we would respectfully ask Oswestry Town Council to defer for 3 months in order to review their decision and consult within our business community. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Of course you can.
My name's Valerie Laundy and I'm here with my husband from the Spiritual Centre. And I'd just like to say that not really has the car parking charges been outlaid to many members of the public, ourselves included. We've gone round some of the groups and nobody even knew about it. But, like this gentleman said here, the impact of putting these overnight charges in, these surrounding streets are going to be crammed full of cars. People who live in these streets are not going to be able to park their own vehicles. Again, as Paul said, the impact of the people that use Memorial Hall, they're going to close, which has got an impact on a beautiful building which Paul runs and is now just becoming a viable concern. So I do want to ask, has anybody canvassed people in Oswestry about the car parking charges? No. Has anybody asked anybody in the street about car parking charges? No. Nobody even knows anything about it. I found out by mistake, I think. And I think, if it's Oswestry Town Council, are they thinking of Oswestry people who are trying to build this town? We've took 5 years since the COVID to build this town back up. and we can see, because we use the memorial, we see people in Ulster Street walking around, going to places of interest. This is just going to kill it, dead. Not injure it, kill it. And that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Valerie. Okay, councillors, we will then... do you want to?
Yeah, just very briefly.
Of course you can. Do you want to grab a mic?
I'll introduce myself, yeah. My name is Ian Campbell. I was just listening to what people were saying about the charges. I come from the rural area of Oswestry, and Oswestry is the main town. We have to drive to get here, and that's just another problem that's going to be created. Whilst I'm here, I'd just like to just try and press a few buttons here that you might not like to be pressed. I'm just looking at recent history. We've had an HMO that was called back and turned over after a vote to stop it. We've now had a pre-EIA for the Mount refused as being unnecessary. So developers can look now more at the Mount than perhaps they might have done had a pre-EIA gone forward. Article 4, no one was interested in that. For 106, no one was interested in that. Now you're taking on the services for street scene, potholes possibly, libraries and statutory services. All of this responsibility is possibly coming to you, and I'm asking about, are you fighting to have the power to challenge situations as they arise? And I'd like to see a bit more of a kickback at the planning authorities and the things that go on in Shropshire Council, because they are now pulling up the ladder if you take on responsibilities, because we're going to have to phone you, and Shropshire Council themselves can just carry on as normal without any kickback. I know there's a lot of you that sit on Shropshire Council planning and all the rest of it, and I'd just like to say that how much of this is politics and how much of it is a genuine concern to represent Oswestry with everything that's happening. We're going to possibly have a very interesting talk, I'm sure, about floods and all the rest of it. And I really think that you need to be seen to be shouting louder to represent Oswestry. That's all I want to say. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Ian.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that concludes our public participation session this evening. And we will move on to item number 2, which is apologies for absence. Have we had any apologies for this evening?
So apologies for absence from councillors Brindley, McKinney and not Wilson because she's here. They're both work.
Okay. Councillors, are we happy to accept those apologies? All those in favour? Councillors, can we make that a bit clearer? All those in favour of accepting those apologies, please. Any against? Any abstentions? Thank you. Okay. So we move on to item 2B, which is the disclosure of councillors' interests of any matters in relation to the Code of Conduct. And I start with my own declaration that I have sought the wording I can never find in my brain. I've sought dispensation from the town clerk in terms of matters relating to Shropshire Council services, and that has I'm within the time period.
And then in relation to item 18 on the agenda.
In relation to item 18 on the agenda, I will leave the meeting and the Deputy Mayor will take over in my absence. And perhaps at that point in time we may move some items around on the agenda, but we will get to that bit at that point in time. I'm going to move round to my left-hand side.
So I'm also a member of Shropshire Council, and I will leave off agenda item 18 as I haven't got a dispensation for that, but I have on Shropshire Council services.
Yep, it's the usual, as you've said. I'm the Vice Chair of Planning. I've got the other registrable interest of being on Shropshire Council, as previously said, but I have dispensation to speak and vote. However, on the item 18, obviously, that's slightly different, and I will be leaving along with other county councils.
Again,
Sorry. Sorry. Shropshire Councillor, I have dispensation on Shropshire Transfer of Services matters and will be leaving for item 18.
Thank you.
As Portfolio of Housing, Leisure and a Shropshire Councillor, I have a dispensation to discuss matters around Shropshire Services, but I will be leaving for item 18.
Thank you.
I too am a Shropshire Councillor and I declare another register of interest in the agenda items concerning the transfer of Shropshire Services, which I've applied for and been granted by the Town Clerk, dispensation to participate in and vote for any of those matters. And at item 18 I will also leave the meeting at that stage.
Same for me.
Mike's not on.
Is it? Oh.
There you go.
I won't touch it again. Yeah, I've got a member of Shropshire Council. I've got dispensation for transfer of services, but I will also leave the room for item 18.
Thank you. Anything else? No. Excellent. Okay. Thank you very much, councillors. We will then move very briefly on to item 3 of the minutes. You've seen the minutes in advance of the meeting. Is there anything? Jonathan?
Move we adopt.
That was nice and easy. Happy to second that, or Ruth is. All those in favour, councillors? Thank you very much. Perfect. We will therefore move on to Mr Phil Mark, Community Flooding Officer for Severn Trent Water. The floor is yours. We will just make sure that we can hear you.
Okay.
Thank you for your time this evening.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me. So yeah, my name's Phil Mark. I work for Severn Trent. I'm part of a fairly new team of community flood officers, and there's approximately 18 of us covering the whole of the Severn Trent region. We were officially launched in middle of November, so we're a very new team. But the purpose really is twofold for the group of community flooding officers. So there's myself and a colleague who will cover Shropshire, and we have two roles, I suppose. One is a proactive role and one is a reactive role. The reactive role is to go out and triage flooding incidents. So if members of the public, our customers, call in a flood, particularly during times of incidents and heavy rain when there's many incidents called in, we have reactive teams who will come out and clear blocked sewers. But obviously when there's many incidents being called in, they need to go to the priority cases, which are pollutions and flooding to internal floodings to people's houses. And what we're finding, what the business is finding, is by the time they get to external floodings, it could be a number of hours or even days in very extreme circumstances. The flood water is often subsided, which means that you can't really get a clear understanding of the root cause of the flooding. And without understanding the root cause of the flooding, it makes it quite difficult to then try and find, well, first of all, who is the responsible agency, because there are a number of bodies that are responsible for different types of flooding. But once you've worked that out, what measures you can put in place to try and mitigate against it happening again. So that's the reactive side. In terms of how much, as a percentage of our role that will take, we don't really know yet, because it's a new team. We're in the winter, so I think we'll probably be fairly busy the way the weather's been over the next few weeks and months. But if we have a summer like we did last year, we're likely to be quite quiet on the reactive side. So that's where we have the proactive element as well, which is effectively what I'm doing this evening. So coming out, when I started, or when we officially launched in middle of November, I reached out to as many parish and town councils as I could, based on email addresses that I was able to find on the internet. And I probably reached out to 100 plus town and parish councils. And I must admit, the response has actually been quite positive. I was quite pleased with the response. There's probably at least 30+% of parish and town councils have come back really and interested to find out what the role involves and what it entails and what we can do. And I think there's probably a degree of self-selection in that if people have issues with flooding, they'll probably be more interested in hearing what I have to say than if they don't. But really, what I'm trying to do, what I'm saying to you guys, what I'm saying to all of the other parish councils is, I'm a resource within Severn Trent to liaise with you if you have flooding issues, to come out. I know we can't do it in an evening when you normally have the parish council meetings, but I was talking to the three chaps here about doing day visits to the areas that they're involved with and trying to get a better understanding of the issues and concerns that they have, which will then allow me to feed that back into the business to see what actions can be taken. Now, you know, I can't promise anything. I don't have the power to promise anything. What I can promise is that if people have questions and concerns, then I will note them and I will get back to them with answers. And even if the answer isn't maybe the answer that you're looking for, I will get back to you with a response, because I know, you know, I've had a fairly long working career, and I know that there's nothing worse than you asking someone a question and it just disappearing into the ether and you never hear back, and you chase a few times and nothing comes back. So that I have control over this. I can get back to you, even if the answer is not the answer that you're wanting, I will get back to you with an answer. So really what I would like to say at this event is I'm here as a resource. If people have issues and concerns, I'm more than happy to come and talk and meet with people to get a better understanding. Now, I can talk to the guys within Severn Trent in the office to understand what they're seeing, and I've been to a number of incidents with the reactive sewer teams in Oswestry where we've been unblocking drains that have clogged, which wasn't particularly pleasant, but it's something that needs to be done. But it's only by speaking to you that I get a much better understanding of what the issues are and what the concerns are. So that's me. You know, I am a resource, so make use of me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Phil.
Thank you, that's really useful. And Oswestry in particular definitely has some spots that we have over here struggled with in terms of flooding, so it's good to have that resource available. And I hope other town and parish councils are taking up on the offer as well. Richard.
Yeah. Think twice before you hand this over.
What I've asked of other parish councils, and obviously this is a town council, but maybe similar would apply, is if questions could be fed through the clerk, rather than it all coming to me, because it may be multiple questions around the same point, and then at least that way it can be coordinated.
Nicely done.
If you have some specific questions, you're very welcome to pop it to Aaron after the meeting or via email. We're within a council meeting at the moment, Ian, I am sorry. I appreciate, sorry, just because we're within the meeting.
Do you want to raise it with me and then I will?
Yeah, looks like we will with Aaron, it sounds like. So, Jonathan?
Actually, I'll just feed mine through as well.
Any other queries, Duncan?
Can I, and I'm just going to be take a slight liberty and still ask for contact details, because as well as being here, I'm the Shropshire councillor that covers Melverley and Kinnerley and Knocking, and also Melverley Internal Drainage Board. So I'd find it really useful to have your contact details, and it might actually make it easier for you, because I have to answer the questions at all of those parish councils.
Yes, you're more than welcome to, and I've actually reached out to, I know that I've definitely reached out to Melverley Parish Council.
You're not on the agenda for the next meeting or the minutes, it's all right, because I've just looked, so it'd be useful. Yeah.
And I'm not sure whether, yeah, I can get back. We can contact Aaron and share the contact.
Okay.
And the only reason, sorry, just switch to that one. The only reason I suggested that the questions are fed through to Aaron is because if it's the same question coming from multiple people, then it's better to consolidate it. But if people have specific issues, and particularly maybe with a different parish, and you want to get in touch with me directly, then I'm happy to do that.
Hello.
For Mr. Alderman, we have passed on our details and we will contact Charles Green as well to arrange a meeting.
We do need to get on with the meeting, but
So we are
thanks.
proactively to as well.
Okay. It's good to know.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you ever so much for coming this evening. I think there's clearly a lot of interest both in neighbouring parishes and at Oswestry as well, and having that link is really important, isn't it? So, right. Okay.
For your time and patience this
Thank
evening.
you. Thank you for coming. Thank you very much. We will give the town clerk a couple of minutes just to support people, and then we will carry on.
He's not going to lock the doors.
Remind you and extend my invitation for this Sunday at 3 o'clock if you would like cake at St Oswald's and like to meet some of our community groups. Whether church is the place for you or not, it is more about bringing Oswestry community groups together and supporting and celebrating them. And I would very much like your attendance if you're able and if you like cake. So we will, however, at this point move on to the agenda item. So we'll move on to item number 5. So we have the working group, Shropshire Services working group minutes on the agenda. Has anybody got any queries about the minutes themselves for accuracy?
Shall I introduce it? I think just very quickly, 2 very positive meetings of the group. Met again last night. So there's a set of recommendations and minutes to come to you again. It's been highlighted that there is a slight error on the minutes of this meeting where it doesn't perhaps reflect the wishes of the group wanting to meet more frequently than monthly. I blame AI, as I would do. But yeah, I think happy to adjust the minutes if members are happy with that. But there's a clear set of recommendations. We've got a good set of actions moving forward, and I think both meetings have been really positive.
Thank you. Unless anybody has got anything further to add about the minutes and the accuracy of, therefore, Jonathan.
Move we adopt.
Happy to second that. All those in favour, councillors?
That's subject to the change.
Subject to the change of frequency. Okay, all those, so we're unanimous on that one. Thank you very much. Item number 6, have we had any questions in accordance with standing orders?
No questions, Madam Mayor.
Okay, we move therefore on to the agreement with OBT, and in light of Fluid Mansion and things, do you want to?
Yeah, it's interesting that we had a question this evening about where the TIC is. It's been in various locations in the town. It's probably the most central it's ever been, to be fair, currently. But the proposal is to, to continue to develop the offer and place whatever it is in Fluid Mansion, so as part of that project. What this does is the Town Council have had a service level agreement with, or a service agreement with OBT for quite some time now. They're a trusted partner. They work well, they deliver on behalf of Oswestry and the area, and having a relation is critical for us to actually how we promote our town as a tourist destination. We're working with OBT on the development of the offer at Fluid Mansion. There's ongoing discussion, and there's a good starting point because we actually agree on how this should go forward. What we're asking is for the service agreement to be in place between the 1st of April 26 to the 31st of March 28, with the options to extend, but also this gives us the option to close it if we need to sooner. We're working very closely with Graham Mitchell, who's the chair.
Thank you. Just an observation that given the comments made by the public earlier, I think it just highlights the ongoing need to celebrate our tourism and celebrate what we offer in terms of tourism for the town, and where the tourism the word? Where the offer is in Oswestry, and just to remind people. So, other than that, any comments at Mark?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I know Aaron just said it's done the rounds in the town. Last time I was on the council, it was in the old school building, the Heritage Centre as it was at the time. I remember it moving down to Mile End as well. So it has moved around, and the Lewid Mansion seems a nice central place for it to be. So I would certainly support this.
Thank you. Any other comments from anybody? Okay, so we're being asked to agree to the service level agreement, or the service agreement, sorry, between the 1st of April to the 31st of March, 2-year period. I move that we accept this recommendation. We'll get there.
Seconded.
Thank you, Jay. All those in favour, councillors? Brilliant. Thank you. Move on to Oswestry Community...
Just a note, just to say, we'll have to update the budget for future years, so there's a minor uplift that will be needed, but that's for a later date.
Okay. Thank you, councillors. We'll move on to item number 8, Oswestry Community Games.
So, very briefly, this has always been treated as a third-party event, so falls under that category. We've had ongoing relationship. The council funds them, and following a meeting held recently, and the notes that are attached, there's a suggestion that actually classing the event as a third-party event doesn't recognise the contribution that Oswestry Town Council makes. So the aim is to deliver this in partnership with the community games organisers. It's a good event, it's delivered well, it's delivered in your on one of your assets, and I'm pleased to recommend this as an option to council. So essentially we become partners, it strengthens the arrangement, and there's an offer of a member to join the community games voluntary working group if you so wish.
Okay, so we are being asked to note and agree and give you some authority to...
yeah, it's just to sign it off.
You just have to sign it off. Is there anybody that would like to be a member of the Community Games Voluntary Working Group? That doesn't mean to say you have to run a marathon, just for clarity. And Fiona? Perfect, thank you very much, well done. So we've got Fiona that would like to be part of that voluntary working group.
You may, as you've got an offer, you may just need to go around the table, see if anybody else is interested. So that's all right.
Anybody have a burning desire to join?
Yeah.
Grace?
Yeah.
Okay, so is there a thing that says 1 or 2?
I'm sure they'd be happy to have 2 if the members are happy.
Anybody else care? You want to as well?
I've already seen enough of you in the gym.
Okay, I think we're getting a little bit excitable here. The offer is for a member to join the Oswestry Community Games Voluntary Working Group. So I think, can I just have confirmation of who is interested, and we will take it to the vote. Okay, so first...
Do they have seconders?
Yes, do you have seconders? Fiona, do you have a seconder? You were the first person. Mark, seconding? Okay.
Yeah, I'll second Fiona.
Grace, do you have seconders? Okay.
This is
And
it.
Claire, do you have a seconder?
I know that we're sticking with 1 now.
Fine. Okay, so we're going for 1 person. So my brain is addled already. This is a great start. We have a proposer and a seconder for Fiona. Councillors, all those in favour of Fiona being the voluntary member?
So you're only having 1, so you're voting for whether you want Fiona or Grace.
So Fiona, Mark, seconding. Sorry.
So just for councillors, just for clarity, you're voting either for either. We had the offer of 2. We've got that more people want to be involved. We'll stick back to the original offer, which is 1 person. So Fiona's been put her name forward, has been seconded. Councillor Goodlad has put her name forward and been seconded. So it's a vote up between the 2.
And Claire had put her name forward as
Okay.
well. So we have a proposer in Fiona, a seconder in Mark Roberts. All those in favour of Fiona? 1, 2, 3,
Can we go again?
All those in favour of Fiona? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Are you voting?
No.
7. Okay.
Moving on to Grace. Grace has got a seconder in care. All those in favour of Grace?
How many? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Have I counted that correctly? Hang on, 7.
Yeah, let's
Absolutely.
for such a small thing, this is taking far too long.
Can we go again then, please? We're going to have to do this by standing orders now, and we're going to have to go by an absolute majority, so we're going to have another vote as well. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Okay, and then moving on to care.
Councillor Johnson.
Care, you've got a seconder. Ruth, perfect. All those in favour of care?
You're not voting for yourself.
Okay.
Okay, so this has to be done by an absolute majority, so we go for another vote. Is my understanding how this procedure works?
Yes.
So it's, I'm afraid, Care, you've been, it's a bit like you've been taken off the list. So, shall we have a re-vote for Councillor Wilson? All those in favour of Councillor Wilson? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Again. Okay. Councillor Goodlad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Councillor Goodlad.
It's good to get some enthusiasm to do this, and they are a really good partnership. So let's celebrate the fact that lots of enthusiasm to do that, and thank you very much, everybody. Is there anything else you wanted to add about community games in terms of insurance and?
No, so just to note, given it's a partnership event now, it'll be run under our insurance because it falls under that, and we will be providing some additional support to make it happen. I think it's really important to remember it's a smashing event, draws a lot of people and does a lot good for our town, so we're pleased to be associated with it.
And Jonathan, get ready to go on the rowing machine with the Shropshire Paddle Sports, because that's a lot of fun, and if you're a bit competitive, it's a lot of fun to do.
I like the cricket nets.
Yes, yep. Fab. Okay. We will therefore move on to item number 9 and some slight changes to Oswestry Senior Citizens Club.
So the document that's been provided by the Senior Citizens Club, I think, is very good. It explains the difference between a charity and a charity limited by trust. I think there's a straightforward recommendation and an ask of whether you support the extension.
Councillors, anybody got any particular comments about the change with Oswestry Senior Citizens Club and their suggestions for what they're going to do? James.
Propose we support the application.
Yep, Jonathan. Okay, so we've got a motion to support, a seconder. All those in favour then, councillors? Thank you very much. Anybody against? Any abstaining? Nope. Okay. We then move on to the reports from the Town Clerk, and the first one being corporate projects and priorities.
Thank you, Mayor. Fairly detailed report, quite a lot for you to consider. Just to explain a little bit about the suggested list of priorities and why the trading company has been added to that. I think due to the Llwyd Mansion project and the view that we'll be trading, or somebody will be trading from Llwyd Mansion, it's recommended that the only way that the council can do that is by setting up a trading arm. It can do so under the general power of competence, but it needs to be a priority because we really need to understand the implications of what's involved, its relationship with the building and its operation, and it's a significant piece of work, which is why I've separated it from Llwyd Mansion. It can't be done by the project officer, it needs to be done by this organisation, and it has implications and risks. So that's why it's identified separately for no other reason. There's an update on gumdrops and on bike storage for you to think through. But the other question, the other just point I'd like to make is around Druid Mansion again. And Councillor Elnett knows this because of his involvement in the project. So I need you to give me delegated powers to potentially fund some scaffolding at Druid Mansion. So scaffolding would have always been installed in the building at the delivery phase, so at construction. However, we've had some survey work which identifies that the need is now pressing, and we need to install the scaffolding sooner rather than later. I can't have an argument with the lottery about who pays for that. My obligation is to public safety, and health and safety always comes first. So what I need is a little bit of support from the members to say, if we need scaffolding to go up, I've raised it with you, you've said it's okay. I'd like to do so in consultation with the chair of the steering group and the mayor. That's normal protocol, and I'll obviously report back. I just clarify that I'm hopeful that the lottery will fund it, but I need a fallback position if they're not, because not putting scaffolding up isn't an option.
Richard.
Yeah, just to completely support that and emphasise again, obviously we're asking the lottery for the money and Sam's on with that, but if we don't get it, we do need to put the money in. Simplistically, this is about remedial work that was done in the 60s. If you look from Santander at the gable end of the building, there's a plank that runs across at kind of first floor level that basically was put there to protect, support the main oak beam behind it. Fundamentally, all it's done is stopped water getting away from it. So that oak beam behind it is now substantially rotten. The risk is that the front of that building falls down. It's as simple as that. And so the fundamental reason for the scaffolding is for public safety, to stop anything happening. It's not actually about supporting the building per se, it's about public protection. So we absolutely need to do it in order to keep moving forward.
I would absolutely also like to acknowledge and support this. I think we took on a beautiful old building, and I think we have to acknowledge that there are things that are going to happen that we are only going to find out about part way through rather than right at the beginning, and this is one of them. And it's vitally important that we not only protect the building, protect the public, and protect the project itself. So I would absolutely endorse getting some scaffolding as soon as possible and have it not reliant upon other funding and timescales of that other funding. So is there anything else within the corporate projects and priorities that anybody wants to bring up or talk about this evening? Mark? Do you want to put your microphone on?
My apologies, yes, thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Yeah, the gumdrop, there was an options there, wasn't there, for if you want to go for cleaning the rest of the town or whatever. I support the gumdrop thing, certainly, but I think keep the cleaning close to it, otherwise things will get out of hand. And we can't clean the whole town just because of the gumdrops. Just do it, get the thing done, do the cleaning around it. So that would be my thoughts on it. And the bike storage, again, a good project. However, I'm concerned that that project is experiencing project creep, because you're talking about extending it for bike storage, water garden, rainwater garden, and so on. Can we just get the project done and get them into place? That's what I would kind of suggest, because otherwise we would tend to go along the lines of having that project go on and on and on, adding things to it as and when we think about it. The whole point was to actually get the bikes into place and parked properly and undercover. Let's just head for that. And once that project is done, we are looking to other places as well, I think. Maybe we could extend it a little bit. But I'm concerned that project creep will actually delay this project when we need to go ahead with it.
I think for me it's just about making sure that whatever we have for bike storage looks appropriate and nice, given that we're proposing for it to be just outside there next to the Castle Mound. So any other comments, thoughts, questions? David? If you put your microphone on.
I should have the finger glued to the button. I just endorse what's been said, because it's only prudent to cover your bases in terms of the scaffolding, so I definitely support it.
do you need anything else from us this evening, Owen?
Well, I think there's a decision about where you're cleaning. You know, so are we cleaning just around the immediate vicinity or not clean? I would recommend not cleaning at all if we're just around the vicinity, because it's going to look like a patch of clean around a patch of...
Can I just say something on that? Isn't that, in a way, almost the idea that we'll have that clean patch, and maybe that will, in a way, encourage that the people to use the gumdrop, because you know it's going to be so obvious when something is dropped there. I don't know. I think that I think it's a shame not to clean anything. I understand about not sort of cleaning the whole town, but I think we have to have something that will give us sort of empirical evidence of whether it works or not.
Claire?
Yeah, no, I agree with Fiona. I think it'll just show whether it's an effective use of...
Okay, so do we have a proposal then in terms of how much around the gumdrop we're suggesting that we clean?
So, yeah, I'll propose that I don't know how many yards, but yeah, an area around it.
Yeah. We're happy to determine what that is. We've got guidance on it from you. That's great.
Okay, we don't need to vote on that one.
Well, you probably do, but if you're all in favour, then...
All those in favour, councillors? Thank you, unanimous.
And so the other one is about the bike storage. Just to explain, as part of the Deep Pave project, they're looking to they're looking at whatever options. We can put up a plastic a perspex bike park, for want of a better word, right next to the castle bank. All I was going to do is give you an option to see if this was doable. If members just want us to stick one in, we'll stick one in. Just trying to perhaps meet some of our objectives about making the town look good and tidy, and some of the biodiversity gains, but also the fact that we do need to recognise some past traders. Traders have passed away, and we did want to put some benches up there to commemorate them. Just seemed to fit together. That was a reasoning behind it, but happy just to stick something in if you want.
Duncan.
We've just had the man from the Community Flooding Forum of Shropshire Council come to us, and I went to the flooding thing at the weekend and had a long conversation with them about DPAVE and its effects on flooding issues. And I'm afraid I'm going to disagree with my colleagues to my right and say I actually think we should be doing DPAVE round it. I think it's becoming a major issue, and it's a useful thing to tie them together, and isn't that big an issue. And Severn Trent will get involved in working to do it.
Councillors, Fiona.
Yes, again with Duncan. I really like the idea, but also that area, you know, as we said, there's those two pretty horrible black plastic pots. We now have an opportunity to make that an area that is really attractive, which again, we're trying to sort of encourage people to the market. It encourages people to the mound, you know, to the castle mound as well. So for me, I think that was a really nice idea to just, but I know what you're saying, Mark, you don't want it to take longer. If we're going to look at that, we need to sort of go ahead with it.
So yeah, all I wanted to do is give you the option. So I suppose it's up to you whether you want to see that option or whether you don't. So it's as simple as that, really.
Jay.
I think, yeah, it's probably a good idea to see those options. Just one of the things that the clerk said about the perspex style, there's a lot of those at schools. They're all scratched up, graffiti. They look good for a week at best, and they just get increasingly worse and become an eyesore. I think we really need to be careful not to just install something that we're going to end up having a meeting about in 6 months about how we're going to fix.
Yeah, I think it goes back to my concerns about what it looks like as well as the environmental impact. So, Mark.
Yeah, I'm happy to go with that. I mean, I was just concerned that it would take the project on and on. If you've got things in place which will look good, I've got no objection to that at all.
Yeah, we have a lot of projects on the go at once.
Yeah, and part of this is to perhaps ask somebody else to deliver the project on our behalf as well. So the DPAVE project got a project officer who's very competent and has designed this stuff, has access to funding. If we can, let's see if it's an option. If it's not, we've got to go back to plan A. If that's
Seems like
okay.
a good way forward. Councillors, happy with that? Yes?
Yep.
Is there anything else that you want to highlight as part of the corporate projects and priorities?
Say, there's the thing about setting up the trading company. Do we need to vote on that? And also, I have a query.
Okay. Should we deal with your query then?
Well, the query is, it says regeneration stroke trading company given its links to trading at Fluid Mansion. I can understand wanting a trading company for maybe for then selling stuff out Fluid Mansion and maybe selling ice creams in the park and whatever. The regeneration stroke trading company looks like that's a bit of a stretch, and if we are talking about a regeneration company, that should be a separate decision at another point, I think.
Yeah, there was a note, trying to connect the two pieces of work as an outstanding notice of motion, which I haven't pursued. This sense of top trumped it, if I want a better expression. Yeah, so the focus will be on a trading company. Probably have to come back and revisit the other option. But in doing so, I suppose we'll have a little bit more knowledge of what's involved, won't we, as well. So, yeah, the priorities are trading first, and then the others. Yeah, I'm clear on that, members.
Okay. Any other queries, questions that you want to raise?
Please, just well, you're voting on it being a priority, being important, essentially.
Okay, so we're happy on that as a priority, which, given that we need to do that now and work out what it looks like, that makes sense. Okay. Are you all right, Stephen? Yeah, fine. Okay. Excellent. Councillors, all those in favour? Thank you very much. Unanimous. Okay. Upgrading the CCTV.
So this was referenced in the budget. It's been an ongoing agenda item for a while with members. I think the report is quite straightforward from the CCTV coordinator. We're trying to upgrade everything to make sure it's resilient. Part of that is installing Windows 11 and making sure that it complies with cybersecurity essentials. We need to upgrade everything else with it. As I budgeted for it in the budget, I'd like to bring it forward a little bit so we start the procurement process ASAP. Yeah, I'm just asking for your support to install that.
Jay?
It's an essential update. I suggest we move forward as the clerk suggests.
Yep, happy to second that one. Yep, all those in favour, councillors? Unanimous. Thank you. It's easy. We move on to item C, the Fluid Mansion option appraisal. We have seen this before, councillors, and we have discussed these options, and Richard and I have definitely seen these options on multiple occasions now, and we are being asked to cement our decision. Councillors, any discussions, any queries that you might have? I think last time we discussed option 3 as being the preferred option. So essentially what we're doing tonight is just confirming that option 3 is definitely what we are preferring at this stage. Unless you've got any further queries, councillors, I am simply going to suggest that that we accept option 3. And do I have a seconder, please?
Yeah, no problem.
Oh, you're so wonderful. Thank you ever so much for your support. I'm very grateful. All those in favour? You see, you weren't quick, were you?
I put my arm down it.
Yes, you can. Right, so is that enough? Option 3, all those in favour? Perfect. All need to listen. Right, item D, Town of Culture application. Positive that we are actively following this and pursuing this, and we're being asked whether we should have Oswestry Town Council as the accountable body.
So also pleased to report that we've received support from Shropshire Council as well. There was an expression of interest process to Shropshire Council. They can't support all the applicants in Shropshire, although I think they actually have decided that they can. In the end, because so few came forward, I think it's a great opportunity. We've got a strong cultural consortium as part of, and linked to that is Love Oswestry, but unfortunately, because they're not a properly constituted organisation, they cannot be the accountable body. So at this point, all we're asking is for you to agree for us to be the accountable body. The work will be done by other people, and at this point, should we be successful, you receive £60,000 to then develop your project. That will pay for not a member of staff, but I think a bid writer. I think there's a strong connection with the Liverpool City of Culture bid, and so one of the lead applicants on there is supporting Love Oswestry, and so we feel that we're really strong, got a strong team together to bid. There's lots to offer in Oswestry. There's an opportunity to expand on our cultural quarter, so the museum, cinema, theatre, archives, library, all within a stone's throw away. So I think it's a great opportunity, and I think if we can, I think we should go for it.
Mark.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I'm happy to support. It's a good idea. My only query was that whether or not we have office time to do it, but Aaron has just pointed out that other people will be doing it, in which case I'm perfectly happy.
Okay. Unless anybody's got any further queries, Mark, are you happy to put forward that we accept that Oswestry Town Council becomes an accountable body? Are you saying you want to? You're seconding? Perfect. All those in favour? Brilliant, thank you. Sorry, I can't quite tell whether you want to speak or whether you're being enthusiastic. Sorry. Right, moving on to item number 11, flagpole installation. We revisit the concept of the flagpoles. Aaron.
So just very quickly from my perspective, apologies, Henry's poorly this evening, so he would have been here to introduce the report. And he's done the research. He's given you the financial implications of the two options that have been discussed. But from what I gather, there's another option. I think it's identified in the report where you can fly the two flags simultaneously. So I think we've got three options to consider. So I'll leave that for you to discuss.
One of your favourite subjects, Duncan.
Well, I moved the original motion, so I suppose I should. It's a shame that Henry's not here to thank him for doing it. Having read his report, I cannot justify spending over £3,000 plus VAT on any of the options. However, there is the third option, which he wasn't asked for, but I think is a very sensible option, and it's a free option. And all we need to do is amend our flag policy to say that those alternative flags we fly under the flag policy, we fly on the flagpole underneath the Union flag at those times, and I would propose that we adopt that.
Yep, Jonathan.
I wish to second.
Okay, councillors, unless anybody's got any further comments, it seems sensible to go to the vote. All those in favour? Option 3. All those against? Abstentions? Perfect.
So what that means is that will be a recommendation to the flag policy, and the flag policy will come for you for first sign-off hopefully in March.
And I think, like Duncan said, a thank you to Henry for compiling the report and for finding another option as well. It's always good to look outside the box.
And it did leave us going, why didn't we think of that before? Yeah.
Excellent, I'm glad we're all thinking. Right, moving on to 11B, the estate report.
So again, me again, do apologise. So just a couple of updates. Guildhall energy costs, there's some positive news there, and it's not just because the heating is not on very much, is it, Sandra? I think the improvements that you put in with the secondary glazing, but also improved the heating, has made a difference. It's generating savings. We've always been a little bit concerned about the safety of the market and events from vehicles. Just giving you an update, we are looking at options of how we can improve public safety through bringing barriers in for events, things like Remembrance Sunday, Christmas, and things that would actually stop a vehicle. So looking at that. And then the final one, and this is fairly selfish from my point of view, I just need the signed off to say that we've considered street lighting energy costs. Our auditors asked us to do so, but I think for the very reasons that are set out in the report, A, it's very complicated, B, there's a power of joint procurement with a whole host of other people, and C, there's no standing charge. I think we can demonstrate that we have tested, but that we are getting value for money without going through a very complicated exercise, and I'd just like that recorded in the minutes if that's okay.
Any comments, queries about that one specifically at the end there? Seems perfectly sensible to do it as a joint effort rather than individually. Okay, so we are being asked to note the report, so councillors, all those in favour? Thank you very much. One abstention, thank you, Jonathan. We're losing people fast. Nope, excellent.
Is there still water in the window?
Have we got enough water? Yeah. We're good. Okay, we move on to item 12, notice of motion in the name of Councillor Duncan Kerr. Duncan, we've obviously got the amendment in front of us. Is there anything you want to add or a summary thereof?
Amendment or the motion?
The motion.
Sorry, there's a motion.
Okay.
My
Well,
words are not
yeah.
coming out.
Yeah, I mean, we have a biodiversity policy. It mandates us to review it annually. This has mainly been a co-creative thing where members haven't just come and approved the policy. I've sat down with officers, we've looked at which areas of land we should focus on in that year. In the past, we've done a cemetery one year, we started on Braganton. So I'm afraid it's not just a question of rubber stamping and saying, go officers, go on and do it. It requires members' active involvement and indeed actually getting their hands dirty and doing some of the planting and some of the work on the sites. So I don't know how you want to handle it. I'm certainly not sitting here as the expert on biodiversity telling you what you should do. It has to be a co-creative process. My preference continues to be that a small group of councillors and other people do some of the work on this and bring it back. But I know you've turned that down twice, so it falls to the council somehow to do it. I don't know how that works, but all I can do is put it on the agenda. It hasn't appeared on the agenda, and the motion does also require us going forward, as mandated by the policy, to ensure that sustainability, environmental and biodiversity impacts are considered in every decision we make going forward, which hasn't happened today.
Duncan, have you got a seconder for your motion? Mark, thank you. Councillors, any comments, queries, concerns? James?
I'd like to thank Councillor Kerr to bring this motion, as I think the benefits of increased biodiversity in our town cannot be understated. I'm a bit confused because it did say that we were going to go through the whole thing in this meeting, so I was just going to query that because I don't feel that spending time in this meeting will have any positive impact on this goal. I do have the biodiversity policy here. It only states that annually there should be a report on the 4 metrics to monitor the progress. Without reading them out, it's likely that no councillor here will actually have the data for these metrics without requiring officers to provide it at a later date. And the policy itself isn't due for review until September this year. The action plan is meant to be agreed on a site-to-site basis, but has not progressed since it was last brought up in 24. Prior to suspending the group in May last year, there were 2 potential climate change partnership panel meetings planned, but both were cancelled. Clearly, even with the availability of the panel to work through this action plan, the opportunity wasn't taken. Instead, I feel it's necessary to point out how the clearly weighted statements in the motion against the work being put into the management of services currently held by Shropshire. It is this work that is actually widening the scope for the Town Council's policies and will even provide an officer who will be responsible for overseeing the implementation and further development of the biodiversity action plan across both the current council sites and the sites that will come under our control later this year. This provides huge opportunities for this council to implement our biodiversity policies to enhance natural habitats and act on a much wider scale across our town. We will be able to manage and improve many more habitats, including ponds, woods, wild grassed areas and more. I therefore feel that it would be sensible and pragmatic to delay a review of the named policies until the specified review date of September 26, to allow time for this new assets to be transferred into our management and the hiring of officer resource to facilitate not just the review, but ensuring that the actions planned are actually implementable in practice. So for these reasons, I do wish to propose an amendment to the motion to substitute all the wording up to resolves that it will, simply with adding the word council in its place, substituting at this meeting to in September 26, and adding the words in the meantime after takes appropriate action. Yeah.
Yep. Well, James, do you want to
Speak. I've got an item that says item 12A amendment and item 12B amendment. So it deletes, I will ask the clerk, this seems to delete the whole substance of the motion and seems a negating motion to me rather than an amendment motion, which is fine, but it's not an amendment, it's a negation. And
I'm going to leave that one to you to determine. I think it's been presented as an amendment.
Words put in, there's loads of words taken out, and the meaning is lost because of the adjective and the verbs taken out, and the remaining words don't mean anything, really.
Okay, it's been proposed as an amendment.
Is there a second?
Seconder in Grace, you've got that in front of you, Duncan. I'm going to take it as an amendment.
So the first question, Madam Mayor, is does Councillor Kerr accept the amendment? He's obviously raised a point of order that negates the motion. Your alternative is then just to go straight to the vote on the motion as proposed.
Okay. Do you accept the amendment, Duncan? Okay. I think, therefore, we will vote upon Duncan's notice of motion in the first place then.
So in doing so, you're suggesting that the amendment doesn't stand as an amendment. It's
Okay.
against that's a decision. I'm afraid.
Okay. Well, I previously said then that it was an amendment, and we'd already had a proposed amendment and a seconder. So therefore, we'll take the vote on the amendment as described. Councillors, if anybody is unsure about what that amendment looks like, I'm happy to give you a copy or to clarify and go through it with you if you would like. Is there anybody that would like some clarity on the actual amendment? We have got...
So essentially means that we'll be reviewing the policy in September.
Yep. Okay. Absolutely.
Can you hear me? Are you listening, Major Tom? Fundamentally, the issue here is we're expecting a major quantity of land transfers later this year in the Shropshire property land we're taking on. We're hiring new staff. We're not seeking to negate the motion. What we're actually saying is let's do this properly when we have the staff to resource it and the full assets that we will have in September. Otherwise, we will have half our asset space not included in this policy review if we do it right now. It is not being negated, it's just trying to take it back to when the policy is due to be reviewed and when we actually will have a larger asset base of space which is relevant to this policy, and it's to stop people having to duplicate and redo the work when we take this property on from Shropshire.
Mark?
Can I just ask, when councillors have seen this amendment to the motion, have they had a prior warning to it and then we just have to take that amendment?
Amendment's quite normal during a discussion, I'm afraid. Okay. So we have an amendment. We have a seconder. We're going to take the vote on that one.
I thought it was an amendment.
Yep.
Not an amendment. No. I queried whether the amendment was an amendment, but I hadn't spoken to the amendment because at that time it hadn't been accepted as an amendment.
Duncan, very quickly, if you don't mind.
Okay. When we made a biodiversity policy, the council already had significant land holdings. Some of those we've made progress on in terms of looking at those biodiversity improvements. Some of those we haven't. We can very well use the 6 to 7 months before any transfer of land occurs, looking at those other areas and making progress on them. That is not lost work, that is work which otherwise would not be done, and we'd be better able then to progress. We've lost a year because we haven't done any work this year, and unfortunately in terms of biodiversity we've lost a chance to plant rattle grass and other things which would depressed grass to encourage wildflower meadows going forward. So it's quite important we actually get on with this, and we've got areas we could be focusing on now. I'm sorry it has to come to council, I don't think that's the best process for it, but that's where you wish it to be discussed, and that's where the action we could take, and that's why I'm opposing deferring the whole thing until September, when we may or may not have to see get other land.
Okay. I think at this point, councillors, we are going to go to the vote. So we have a proposed amendment, we have a seconder. I think you've been given as much information as required this evening, so we are going to vote. So all those in favour of the amendment that's been proposed and seconded, and Grace has given some explanation of that fact. So all those in favour of the amendment, please, councillors.
So that then becomes a substantive motion.
Okay. So we're therefore acknowledging this as substantive and therefore voting on the substantive So all those in favour, please, councillors. Any against? Any abstentions? Okay. We then move on, so that motion has not been carried and the amendment has been. We'll move on to item 12B, the notice of motion in the name of Councillor Jay Moore. Jay, again, would you like to just give a summary and any additional information?
Yeah, very quickly, Madam Mayor. I think just improving the audio and visual recording facilities of the council meetings. I think looking at listening to not just the last sort of few, but I think going back for a very long time, there's always audio blips within the recordings. I think we can do better with it. Yeah, no point wasting any time. Just get straight to it.
Okay, councillors, have you got any queries or comments? Perfect.
Need a seconder before the discussion, please.
Okay, anybody got a seconder for that? Duncan? Okay, Fiona.
Yeah, my query, I quite agree, the audio should be better, but can I just put on my actor's hat, please, is that people can rush. We have 3 minutes, and I do apologise, and I've discussed this with James before. I didn't actually understand, I couldn't hear anything that James was saying practically, because I know that he wants to get something out, and he wants to get it within those 3 minutes. Can we just please think about the ones of us that are older, that our hearing is starting maybe not to be so good? Please just slow down and speak clearly, and we might actually not have to do quite so much. Some people you can hear very, very well, some people not so well. And I just think that, and I know that, Rosie, that you have to keep the whole thing going, but sometimes people have got so much to say in that 3 minutes that the rest of us don't catch it, and we need to have the time. I come here to listen to people's opinions, and I don't want to vote on something that I don't hear correctly, that I don't understand. So just, yeah, I'm not sure what we can do about it, but I think that it's something that we should look at for people to slow down and actually really, because all of us want to hear what everyone else is saying.
Thank you, Fiona, and that's noted from the chair. I absolutely want to make sure that everybody is heard, and it does feel like sometimes I do need to move you on a little bit, and I apologise. But yeah, we have a packed agenda every single time, so. Yep, noted. I think we can all note that in this room. So we have the motion. We've got James. Sorry, Mark.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, just wanting to support the motion. It's something that I raised previously. It wasn't supported. It wasn't deemed a priority. But I'm aware that other councillors in this room have raised the quality of that recording. So I think it's really important that we do this for transparency, so that people who don't attend can hear exactly what is being said by all the councillors in the room.
Thank you. James.
I think while agreeing in principle with the motion, I do feel that it just assumes that the current system's broken and only replacing it and spending money can fix it. In fact, a lot of the issues with the current system are either human error, issues with the upload itself, or just the incorrect use of the microphones. You can spend £1,000 on a new microphone, but if you're speaking a metre away from it in the chamber, it probably won't pick you up. The chamber also isn't a podcast booth or a recording studio. It's a hub of democracy and public participation. The law doesn't even require audio recordings to be made public, as that's the whole purpose of minutes being produced for every meeting. The minutes are still the only true record of the meeting, as it has been for hundreds of years. I can assure all members that when speaking to residents of Oswestry on the doorstep over the past 3 years, I've never had a single one state that they wished our microphones were higher quality, or that they wished they could see our faces. The sad reality is, despite these meetings being open to the public, virtually none come anyway. The highest number of views on the meeting on YouTube is the last meeting with 252. The average views are more like 20. They're clearly not being used by a wide number of people, and we're here debating whether we should spend thousands to become BBC Radio 1. Audio recordings being available has often stopped members of the press from even attending the meetings in person, although it is nice to see that this isn't the case tonight. Despite this, to show openness to the arguments around transparency, I have provided all members well, it can be available, of a proposed amendment to the motion, but for the sake of those in the room online, the only amended bit is the last section as follows. Therefore, it is requested that officers assess if the current audio and visual recording systems used for council and committee meetings meet the requirements of council policy and report back to council with recommendations for improvements if necessary to ensure clearer, more reliable and high quality audio and visual recordings. The report includes, if necessary, estimated costs, implementation timelines and any available funding options or budget budget implications, and council prioritise recording improvements that enhance accountability and transparency, respectful participation and conduct, accessibility for the public and the overall quality and professional. Sorry, it's the same as the current motion, so I was just speeding through that bit. I apologise, Fiona.
Jonathan.
So I'm in favour of the amendment by Councillor Owen, because I've heard the sounds myself, and I agree that there can be some areas of improvement, but perhaps if it could be inspected and reviewed by individuals other than ourselves, then they might be able to come up with some suggestions that we ourselves haven't really thought of. It's more around not necessarily the quality of the hardware, but how it's used moving forward. So I'm in support.
Okay, so Jay, you've got an amendment to your proposal, to your motion. Are you happy to accept that amendment? So I think there's the insertion of the word if, and I think you've got a copy in front of you, have you, of the amendment, proposed amendment? Do you want to have a look?
There's a copy here for members.
Yeah, would anyone like? Rosie has copies, so fine.
I'm not deliberately holding them back.
She did offer them and asked people to indicate. I'm going to grab one. No. You might need to do one between two or something. I've got one there. Oh, okay, you've got two. I'm not sure of numbers. I don't know. I'll just grab one.
Yeah. Okay. Councillor Moore, what do you feel about the amendment? Are you happy to accept it or not?
I can't really see any real difference in the amendments. I'm trying to work out what's been changed in here that's worth an amendment. It says officers assess if the current audio, or officers assess the current audio. It seems just incredibly pedantic. I don't understand what I'm missing, other than just the wording it's the same thing.
Okay,
Is
so
it?
I just need
can we get to the crux of what it is you're actually trying to change in the motion? Because it's like there's nothing here. Yeah, but
Jay, I am just going to ask again. Are you happy to accept or not? And then we can move on with either vote, if that's okay.
I don't understand it fully yet, I'm afraid, so I need a minute to still work out what's going on.
That's fine.
Sorry.
Wendy.
Yeah, I was going to say, no, Aaron's not leaving the room. How often are the machines and things maintained, sort of, is maintained the word? It's, yeah, sorry.
So back in 2023-2024, a motion came forward to install a digital recorder, which we had, and we had our system tested. It's an ancient system. It was deemed fit for purpose for what we need, which is exactly how we use it. Obviously, we haven't got visual, and it was never the council policy to have a camera. We broadcast it on Teams as well. So yeah, the system is operating as it should do. Could it be a better system? Yes. it could be upgraded. Yes, it could be upgraded. You know, but we can look at the. Hang on, who turned me back?
That was me.
So we can obviously ask somebody to come in, assess what we've got, and give us some options, which I think is what everybody's agreeing that we should do. In my interpretation.
Okay.
But perhaps I got that wrong.
Thanks. Just got a couple of points. So, yeah, first point, that people aren't going to listen to it. If the recording's not listenable, you can't listen to it, then people aren't going to view it. That's the reason why people aren't accessing the YouTube channel. I would argue, anyway. And then the second point, yeah, I've got a degree in computing, so I'm happy to look at how they're uploaded, because it might be an issue with how it's being uploaded rather than the recording itself.
Okay. So we need to make a way forward. So, Jay.
I can't accept the amendment just based on the lack of just removing the words microphones and things like that. I do feel that, as the clerk has stated, the system is, I think you used the word ancient, maybe fit for purpose, barely, but looking into all of those aspects of this is how we improve the entire system. Members can choose to listen to me if they want. If it helps, I've got 2 decades in the music industry around recording equipment. I know Councillor Burrowman's got an extensive amount of experience as well. I'm sure he can attest that a recording piece of recording equipment without the proper microphones, without the proper cabling, without the proper other equipment attached to it does not work. So I would reject the amendment and suggest that we look at the whole system and then come back and make the decisions as a council based on all the information, not just part of it. We do need the hardware as well, I'm afraid.
Okay, I will take a couple more speakers, but it does feel like we're circling around the same issue and some vague agreements. Duncan.
It's ironic that if I unzip my top, it's got a joke based on broadcast sound engineers. I have to say, I don't think there is anything really inherently wrong with the system, and I think that Fiona hit the real issue right on the head. It'd be a far better spending of money to bring everyone in here for a day to get them trained into using the microphone. And I have to say, Fiona was guilty earlier. She spoke for about 5 minutes with her microphone pointing up in the air before she noticed it herself. And I think a lot more discipline by those speaking and getting closer to the microphones would be far more effective than spending vast amounts. The sort of money you're talking about to spend on an Audio-Technica system, which is about the next step up from this, you are talking tens of thousands of pounds to put in a system. The other issue that people have a problem with is not hearing what's going on in the background. You've got to make a choice. You've got to make a choice whether you want the person that the mayor has chosen to call to speak is heard, or whether the whole room is heard. And I have to say, from the point of view of minuting the meeting, and appropriately minuting the meeting, having a microphone where the person that the mayor calls to speak is heard and no one else is the appropriate way of the system working. So I would say maybe the system needs some tweaks, and maybe people need some education, but I wouldn't be willing to spend a vast amount of money on changing the hardware that exists.
Yeah. I mean, I'm fully in favour of being held accountable for what everyone says. I think it's great that public hear. But I do think an improvement on the whole sound system would be removing the high levels of anxiety in chamber, and people wouldn't rush what they're saying. Just my opinion.
Thank you. Duncan.
Yeah, I think it's worth every now and then reviewing whether our means of recording is fit for purpose, and it's not meets the requirements of council policy as has been suggested in the amendment. It's whether people in their homes can actually follow what's being said, and we just need to double check on that. And I think it's very good to have somebody in to check on that, and we probably need to do it every 5 or so years, because technology moves on and there may be better ways of uploading it, using IT to get us there. And I think before we jump into saying, I wouldn't support spending tens of thousands of pounds on it either, but I don't know we need to do that. But I do think it's good to have somebody to look at it, because it is how people in the town and outside actually get to learn what we're doing on their behalf with their money.
Grace, James, and then I think we need to make some progress on this one.
I welcome this discussion this evening, and I think there have been a number of good points made already. I think discipline about use of microphones is vitally important, and I actually firmly rebut the statement that the recordings are not listenable to. I listened to them before I was elected, and after the furore whipped up by certain members claiming they were laughed at, which was an untruth.
Point of order, Chair, that's not part of the agenda.
It is exactly a part of the agenda. Sorry, Jay blocked out my microphone. Rosie, could you request him not to do that again? So, it was an untruth made online.
Point of order, Chair, this is not part of the agenda.
Grace is talking about what is heard within the council chamber. So I'm going to
So not what's online, what's happening there.
Yet again, I listened after untruths were made last time, claiming there was laughter, and it was he's trying to prevent me speaking, Madam Mayor. He is blocking my microphone, so I cannot complete my sentence.
I'm not sitting here while she just talks and talks. The agenda?
Jay,
The agenda or nothing?
Jay, please be respectful. You will have your say afterwards, but for now it's Grace.
Excuse me, Madam Mayor, I believe Councillor Moore is refusing to allow me to talk, he is telling you.
Councillors, how many times have we sat in this chamber and been disrespectful and unkind? Please allow one person at a time to speak. You will have an opportunity, Jay. Grace.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yet again, after the furore after the last meeting, where someone alleged that they were being laughed at, which was untrue.
I was being laughed at, Madam Mayor. I won't sit here and be told otherwise.
Jay, if you cannot behave, and I will ask you to leave. One person at a time, respectful of each other.
Yet again, after listening to the recordings of the last meeting, because of untrue allegations of laughter, the recording was completely adequate and clear. So I rebut the allegation that you cannot hear. You could hear coughing, you could hear papers. You can hear basic background noise, and you can hear speakers clearly. Now, I do fully accept we should regard accessibility, people who use hearing aids and hearing systems that may have problems with the frequencies of the upload and how they are uploaded, and I would welcome a review of that. However, I don't think that review should go through a sound company, having been married to a sound engineer for over 20 years. And if you get any company to come in here, they will try and sell you the most expensive solution. I know that because he worked for companies like that for a period. When it comes to costings, you are looking for a reasonable system at well over £400 a base unit, plus microphone, mother system. It is thousands of pounds, so it's a last resort. It is not out of order, but given the furore we've had about budget increase, this could be another £20,000 to £30,000 of expenditure. So if we can avoid that, it would be beneficial. I would then go back to something that has become apparent tonight, because one of the main drivers written in the original motion is around enhancing accountability, transparency, respectful participation and conduct, and overall quality and professional of council meetings. Now, if people wish a well-conducted and professional meeting, fundamentally that comes to all of us allowing others to speak, respecting the authority of the mayor, listening, and not writing things that are untrue on social media. So if people could stick to that, all of us, every single individual in this room, I think you'd have far more respectful and professional and better conducted meetings.
Okay. Thank you.
I'd just like
We
to
are going to end this discussion at, where are we? 1:45 at the latest.
I'd just like to add that if we had a better recording system, then we might hear Councillor James Owen saying to Councillor Frogger, when Councillor Moore left at the last meeting, "I'm glad he left." So those sorts of things might be useful to have on recording with a better recording system,
Okay.
like I suggested about 3 months ago.
Okay, I think at this point I'm going to say we need to move on from previous meetings. Can we talk about the very specific item that we've got on the agenda, and we are going to finish discussion on this item by 1:45? No.
Bring the council to this public press here listen
Yep.
to this.
Okay, so councillors, we have had a motion put forward by Jay. We've got an amendment in front of us. We've got a seconder for that amendment. I understand from Jay that he's not happy to accept the amendment. So at this point in time, we will go to a vote based upon the amendment. as proposed. Councillors, all those in favour of the amendment, please.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Have I counted that correctly?
All those in against? Any abstentions, please? One abstention, two abstentions, sorry.
So that then becomes a substantive motion.
So we're voting on the substantive motion as per the amendment. So councillors, all those in favour of the now substantive motion?
Okay, those against? Those against? We're initial.
Anybody against? Any abstentions? 1, 2, 3 abstentions. Okay. I think at this point in time we're going to take a 2-minute welfare break. Please feel free to use the toilets, grab a drink, whichever, but we will reconvene at 8:42.
8:42 precisely, madam.
Yes, indeed.
Oh, I'm going to have a quick wait. Well, I don't have another break.
I'm not quite that big yet. Although I'm getting there.
So about 103 then. Just having a wait.
Now we know the real reason. It's because of the secret teas. Hot juice. Oh. I'm quite jealous.
Someone's trying to get in.
I bring. Oh, someone's trying to get in. I might bring a flask of hot juice.
Okay.
Just Councillor Foggett. In my pocket.
Okay, councillors, Mr Town Clerk, we will restart any minute.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's like the Super Bowl, a 2-minute warning for the half-time show. You okay?
Trip back from the Highlands last night.
Was that a good break?
Mm,
Sorry, I thought you were away doing something nice.
okay.
Aaron's just sitting with the public now. He's given up in despair.
Forgot anybody returned virtually. Okay, councillors, we will therefore move on to item C. What number? Something like 12C, isn't it? Which is in the name of Duncan. Again, Duncan, do you want to give a summary of your motion? We should have all read what your motion says.
Well, I think we know what the motion's about. You heard from BID earlier, and you heard their concerns. You've heard from Memorial Hall concerns. There is complete confusion about what sort of parking tickets people need to get if they arrive at 7 o'clock and are staying for 2 or 3 hours. Ditto if they arrive at 7:30 in the morning, what they would need to get. Can I just... explaining why we need...
But by you're using the speech to debate the motion before you're asking for the suspension.
Yeah,
so we can't
the motion is about the revoking.
Explaining why you need to revoke. I'm making a motion to revoke the ordinance, and this is why you need to revoke, because of these issues we need to discuss. And I'm explaining those issues. If you choose not to revoke, I'll get there very shortly, then there'll be no discussion, and it will end. But I need to explain the reason. I can't just say revoke without explaining the reasons why, because you'll say, well, why do you want to revoke? So I say again, you've heard from...
Madam Mayor, point of order. Madam Mayor, point of order. I think it's a ridiculous situation where we have a standing order that calls for 2/3 of the council to move a motion to suspend something for 6 months, but that 2/3 majority, that supermajority, can be overturned at a meeting by a simple majority. I think that is a ludicrous situation. I think we should take the vote on the suspension of standing orders freestanding without consideration what goes beyond. I actually think council needs to review standing orders on that basis. I think the only other time this has ever been used in the past was when there was the attempt to stop Councillor Kerr being mayor. So, Councillor Kerr, don't press the button until I finish. Well, you're posing your finger. Right. I move that we take a vote on the suspension of standing orders separate from the motion on the car parking itself.
Not identified anything in the Constitution which has been breached, which is a point of order. No, but it is not a point of order. It's a view, but it's not a point of order.
I haven't asked for you at this point in time. I'm asking the clerk.
There can't be a debate. There cannot be a debate on the item unless you suspend standing orders. So the motion is to suspend standing orders to allow debate. The question being asked is whether by introducing the agenda item and providing the reason as set out on the agenda, whether that invokes a debate or not. And I'm going to leave that one with you.
Okay. So the notice of motion is asking that the council initially revoke the 6-month rule, and therefore that is our question this evening and what we're making a decision upon. We all have the details of item C there. So like Duncan Borroman has suggested, we need to go to a vote. And Duncan, are you proposing...
I believe we have a proposal to revoke already from Councillor Kerr. Therefore, I think we're voting on his that first part of his motion, subject to the town clerk agreeing what I'm saying.
Okay. So I am going to make the decision that we are, at this point in time, going to vote upon whether we are revoking the 6-month rule to allow discussion on, as per Duncan's comments. Duncan, do you have a seconder for this motion? Mark, that's fine. So we've got a proposer and a seconder, and we are making a decision at this point in time purely on whether we are revoking the 6-month rule.
Madam Mayor, I'm really just seeking a point of clarity. If we are looking to revoke the 6-month rule, will that be based on a simple majority or on a 2/3 majority, please, Madam Mayor?
Town clerk.
It can only be on a majority, can't it?
A simple majority.
Yeah, it can't be on a two-thirds because you're suspending that you're suspending the standing order that requires a 2/3 request to put it on the agenda, so that doesn't apply.
So we are therefore voting on whether to revoke the 6-month rule with regards to this motion. We have a proposer and a seconder. All those in favour, councillors, please raise your hands. Not until we've made this decision, Fiona.
So, without wanting to prolong, you can have discussion whether to revoke or not, but you can't discuss the items.
Oh, yes, can I say something about the revoke, please?
You can.
Okay. I joined the council for Oswestry, and I joined the council believing thoroughly in democracy. And I do believe, and I won't say what it's about, but if we have members of the public passionately coming in against something that has been decided, you know, our government U-turns. It upsets me to see people this upset, this passionate about something that we have done as a council. And we, by having this 6-month standing rule, cannot change it then for those people. And we did do it without consultation. They had very good points.
Okay, thank you. I am going to move now. I'm going to move to the vote about the revoking, and then we can discuss further if necessary afterwards. Okay, so we are voting upon, as I said, whether we are revoking the 6-month rule with regard to this discussion. So we need to discuss that first. So those all in favour of revoking the rule as per Duncan Kerr's motion.
Technically suspending. That's not how we'll do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay. All those against?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Any abstentions?
2 abstentions.
No, 3. 3 abstentions.
Okay, done.
So, at this point in time, no further discussion because we have not allowed the motion to carry. So we will move on to item 13, A, B and C, car parking analysis.
Would you be happy to take all 3 items in one go? As it relates to the finance of the council, would that be okay?
Jonathan?
Move on block.
Move on block. Seconded by Grace. All those in favour, councillors? Any against? Any abstentions? Okay. Item number 13. We move to item number 14, a positive note. Aaron, do you want to... There's not much else to say about it, really, other than we, as a council, need to, by this Friday, suggest somebody that we would like to represent Oswestry at Buckingham Palace Garden Party in May of this year. I think it's incredibly positive and prestigious, and we should be recognising somebody. So a discussion, if we may, very quickly on anybody that we would suggest that we should put forward. Care.
I'd like to nominate Aaron.
Oh,
I couldn't
no, I
think
can't.
of...
No, I
Oh, you
can't.
can't?
No, I'm not allowed.
Oh. I was going to say, I couldn't think of anyone better to represent the council.
That's really kind of you. I'm not allowed.
That's that then.
Well, Aaron, just a brief point from my perspective.
Microphone.
It's a real shame you're not allowed because it's your 10th year of service to the council, and I think under your stewardship we've seen this council go from an excellent council to an outstanding council, so thank you very much for all your hard work over the last decade.
That's kind of you. This is for members of the community. It's not for... I'm an officer paid to do my job. It's very kind of you to say that, nice stuff. I think there are people who deserve this. Sometimes they invite the mayor, but it certainly shouldn't be an officer. I'm away.
The truth is out.
Grace.
I know that others will want to say more than me, but a person whose name kept cropping up in discussion was Liz Jeremy from the Food Bank, with everything that she's done for the town. And we've already tried to show some financial support and commitment to supporting the food bank, but I think showing some recognition for the dedication and hard work and how many thousands of local families and people she helps support and lead would be a very nice gesture, and again helps keep the food bank at the foremost in the forefront of people's minds moving forward. So that would be a suggestion on my part, and I'm sure others will have other very, very worthy suggestions as well.
Anybody else in the room got any suggestions? Okay, I think, councillors, let's take a vote on it. All those in favour of Liz Jeremy being invited. Again, if she comes back and says no, I'm sure we could go back to the drawing board, but I think we are unanimously in favour of...
Not by Friday.
Let's enthusiastically encourage her. Thank you, councillors. That was a a nice simple approach to some decision making. At this point in time, we exclude the public and press, and to resolve that by the Public Bodies Admissions to Meetings Act of 1960, section 1.2, and in accordance with the provision of Schedule 12A of the Local Government Act 1972, the public and press be excluded for the remainder of the meeting. Hello, Jonathan.